Hello, hello, and welcome back into the caster desk with myself, Mad Magical, and Chilling Walk. We're getting ready for our second game of our round of 32 between Harrisburg University and the Goucher Gophers. I love that that's a mascot, but I will say I kind of am with the desk. I would love to see Goucher be able to bounce back in this one. And you know, when you look at like how they themselves talked about them, like their players and what they like to play, you know, I really do like that TJ was able to highlight that maybe they should go back onto Comfort. Yeah. And especially like for Garlic Bread. You love to play Riven. I dropped my pen. You like to play Riven a lot. And I want to see that. I want to see maybe just go for something like that. Play something that you're more comfortable with in order to be able to get that success, because that might be your best way to be able to win. If a team isn't as comfortable playing against it, boom, that's how you beat them.
Yeah, 100% agree with you, Alex. 100% agree with TJ too. They got two things that work with cheese, Alex. They got garlic bread and they got potato. So if Goucher want to pull off the cheese, they definitely have a chance to do so.
More things work with cheese.
More things do, but right now we look at everyone on Harrisburg. Their names don't work with cheese. We got Goucher. Two of the names work with cheese. Okay, so
I don't know, man. Have you tried cheese with like most things? Cheese is good for everything.
It depends on the cheese, though. You have to be mindful, man. You know,
cheese.
If you got raclette, you got to melt that. If you got Gouda,
what the hell's raclette?
Okay. Well, first off, it's very clear that I'm the cheese connoisseur. You know, I play king of bottom, and I gotta pick whatever else in draft.
Jack,
you get the raclette.
Whatever.
Gouda,
you know what?
You get the gorgonzola. You know.
Okay, I know what gorgonzola is, and I know what Gouda is. I know those two, but you know what? Besides cheese, let's get into the draft. Let's see how these teams are going to be able to pick out what they want to be able to get. I do kind of wonder if we're going to see something kind of the same as last time, because we both said that Goucher did a great job in their draft. We had no qualms with what they had drafted.
Oh, I don't think that the Dust didn't have any complaints either. So Goucher, of course, just understanding the way they want to draft and what works well for them. But this is where I got to highlight TJ's point. Is Harrisburg feeling themselves? Are they going to be disrespectful and pick whatever the heck they want to just show up on this game too? And that's where, you know, Harrisburg can actually bite a little bit more than they can chew. And if I'm Goucher, I'm down to throw down if everyone's trying to throw cheese from left and right. That's the big question right now, is who's down to just be unorthodox in this game too.
Well, right now, look at that. Harrisburg are the ones taking away Viego, and then Darius is being banned by them as well. They are trying to take away some of those newer and probably more unique styles that you can go for, like Darius Jungle is something that we kind of had highlighted before that had been banned by Harrisburg when they were on the blue side, but that was second rotation ban. It wasn't this early on.
Yeah, and also, if I'm looking at Garlic Bread, if he plays Riven, of course, it's also a champion that he could also easily pilot too. It's also just a champion that you don't want to deal with if I'm Sand Flame. So right now, everything's looking pretty solid. The only thing that has changed is that Renekton that was banned from Goucher. And along with that, Harrisburg actually be like, you know what, Garlic Bread? You're not getting Riven today. You're not getting that cheese. We're not going to deal with it, all right? So I like that ban. Harrisburg, they're doing their homework too.
As they are, but this also does leave open those strong AP junglers that we had talked about. Rumble, Morgana, Diana. These are the things that we had mentioned before, and they want to be able to grab themselves that Rumble. It still has that flexibility, mind you. It does not have to be Fallen Moon's playing that in the jungle. We just expect it with the buffs. And that's funny, because I think he got the buffs on 11.8. He didn't get them on 11.9. Yeah,
he got 11.8, but this is where Rumble can actually technically flex 4 ways, Alex.
Ooh.
You know, it can go top. That's pretty obvious. It can go jungle. That's, of course, new with 11.8. It's always been a mid laner. We've seen it back then from Firefire being played in the mid lane, but we have seen the bottom lane with Rumble Senna. Senna's still on the table. If Goucher are really trying to cheese things out, you figure out where this Rumble's going to be going. But, well, you know what? Sure, it's like, I'm going to answer that cheese with my own, and I'm picking Xin Zhao. We haven't seen this champion. I think I've only seen this champion once. Twice.
It does not have to be for that. Actually, it's not even Shorter Ace playing, by the way. It's Xyle playing. It looks like
Xyle. You're right. They have swapped.
They have swapped that out, but that does not also mean that Xin Zhao is going to the jungle. It could still be top lane. We have seen that a niche pick top lane that can be flexed up there, but right now, Sivir and Sona, Potato and Queen VO are going for something that they feel more comfortable with, and this is something that is going to be able to allow them to kind of have this like more weak side bot lane where all they do is clear out the minion waves and back out.
I mean, that's very bold to pick Sona in this meta, because it's another champion that just does Sona's job better. Does start with an S. Does like music, and that's Seraphine. So this is for sure leaning
You mean Sona version 2.0.
Sona version 2.0, yeah, you're right, Alex. But that's where I'm kind of wondering Goucher picking that Sona. I understand comfort is a good thing, but Seraphine's just also kind of sitting there too. Regardless, though, I wonder if this is going to be lethality Sivir on the bottom side. Potato can definitely rock that down too.
Could be.
And I would like it, but for Harrisburg, they're already picking the Silas for Maz that can actually deal with it, and actually is a good counter pick to Rumble in the mid lane if Sad is going to be the one piloting in. So that's these are all things that we have to kind of wonder when all these champions are coming in.
As we get into the second part of the bans, we have Rise and Gnar banned away. It doesn't seem like they're going to let Sandflame play that anytime soon. Not too surprised, especially since we already saw the Renekton ban. That means Gangplank, the next one that Sandflame does like to play, is still left open. Could be the option for them, even if he's not necessarily considered like the most dominant top laner in the current meta. He is still pretty strong. I'm more curious to see, though, if we're going to see any Vladimir starting to come in. Because Vladimir did get those minor buffs not too long ago. And that is something that could be a great flex that players can try to opt into, especially when they try to go for round 3, round 4.
It definitely can, and the team that wants to pick Vladimir, if I'm going to be looking at the drafts, is probably going to be Harrisburg, because you already have 2 divers in, Vladimir's another diver, and you got 3 squishy members on the Goucher team. So if you want to pick Vladimir, this is the time to do so. But this is where I'm actually kind of wondering, Alex, because Silas is a good match to Rumble, regardless of where that role is going to be. That's where I'm running if this Silas wants to actually be put in the jungle against Rumble too. That's something that I'm actually just genuinely curious if Harrisburg wants to do, because if Rumble goes in jungle, Silas is a solid answer.
Clear? How does this clear?
It's weak.
Nowadays?
It's definitely weaker.
Yeah.
You definitely can't full clear as much as Rumble, but in the one-on-one, you can beat his head in all day, every day. Harrisburg, though, we're going to be answering the Sivir on the bottom side with that Varus that we have seen in competitive play, so I'm liking what Harrisburg is going for. Definitely some hard engage.
Leaving up where that Silas is going to go, we are expecting it to be Zyle playing Xin Zhao, but we are not exactly sure if it's going to be Sandflame or Maz piloting Silas. That can still be flexed around, can still be an opportunity for them to be able to catch out Goucher where they're not exactly confident where things are going to go right now. But Sejuani gets locked in. So this Rumble is not in the jungle. Well, actually, it still could be, because if you think back to Flandre in the LPL, he was playing that top lane Sejuani. So there is still the potential that it's flexed around. I am expecting that Rumble to be a lane Rumble, but there's still the possibility.
Like, you can pick Sejuani top, but most of the time when you're picking Sejuani top is specifically to answer Gragas top here. But that's what I was going to say. The reason why you pick Sejuani is you want to pair some with some melee in some other solo lane. So at this point, this Rumble more than likely is gonna be in one of these solo lanes, as Sejuani can help out both of them as 2 duo mid lane melee solo laners. But this is also where Silas gets a free pick into one of these matching champions, and along with that, because I realized picked this early, Harrisburg going to be answering with one of the best counter picks in this matchup, and it's going to be that Nocturne. Even though if Boss Duet comes out, you spell shield it. If she wants to fight you, you make her scared, and you make her walk away, and then if she throws up the ultimate, you just kind of wait and just throw your own ultimate and make sure everyone else gets scared. And so Harrisburg University on the red side definitely going for some optimal counter picks at the end of the day.
Well, let's see, though. If it is going to be the Rumble mid lane, or if it's going to be the Rumble top, I'm expecting it to be exactly how you said, though. Relia into Nocturne, have the Rumble into Silas, but those are still rough matchups for Goucher to try to have to be able to deal with. It's really going to now fall back onto Fallen Moons to be able to help out, get that double melee. This is why you draft the melees. You had just talked about it. You make sure that Sejuani's passive, that Permafrost, can get stacked up so quickly when you have the backup of both a melee top and mid laner.
The difference, though, Alex, now is that when we look at both compositions, they're both playing. They both are down to play strong side top. You got Nocturne, you got Xin Zhao, you got Silas. You want to snowball all 3 of them. Same thing with Goucher. They want to snowball Rebellion. They want to snowball Rumble as soon as possible. Sivir, Sona, they just want to survive on the bottom side, whereas Thresh and Varus, they want to try and find those kills. But this is whereas game 1, we saw Goucher pick a composition that wants to kite away. They're trying to meet head-to-head, man. They're trying to go blow for blow when it comes down to it. But this is where it gets very volatile, because in game 1, Goucher was on the back foot because they need to scale. They need to sit back. This is where Goucher's like, all right, if you're going to throw a fist at me, I'm going to throw a fist back, and whoever hits harder can just take it home.
Well, and the thing is with Goucher, too, I actually love how the composition has a lot of disengage, re-engage tools. You got Crescendo, and you also have the Glacial Prison. These are a lot of non-committal ults that you can utilize, too, to be able to kind of test the waters of Harrisburg. Where Harrisburg, they are all in. when they want to dive in, for the most part, they have to commit and stay there. The only one that's really going to be able to kind of bail out of that one might be Clyde on that thresh. Maybe you could make an argument for Silas, since he's going to more than likely either steal Equalizer or Glacial Prison all the time to be able to help out with that. But that's still a kind of like a if, and you're hoping that's going to work that way. It's a lot easier for Goucher to be able to disengage themselves as opposed to Harrisburg.
And I want to rewind back to these solo lanes, because even though both these teams are, meeting head to head with very, very explosive ways, because they all spike pretty hard on the first level 6 and first item, Goucher has to figure out what match they want to go with, because they stick that matchup, Irelia versus Nocturne, Roman versus Silas, it's not going to be a fun time, man. If you look at, if they're both the same level, you don't want this kind of match. You actually want to flip it so Roman can actually deal with the Nocturne, because Flame Spitter is going to be a good thing. Electric Harpoon is going to be a good way to deal with that spell shield. You can just play the War of Attrition against Nocturne, and Irelia can potentially, not the best, but has an option to kind of fight that one-on-one, or if not, that has the backup of Sejuani coming in too. So Gotcha, you got to pick your poison, man. Which one you want, and that's one thing that I want to think about when we go into this game.
And with Xyle playing the Xin Zhao as well into Sejuani, so you already have it where it's pretty much picking a poison of how you're going to be able to play in the lane. But you're also now with the Xin Zhao, who wants to play aggressive. He's looking for early skirmishes, and he's going to be able to help out a lot, especially against Sejuani, where you can talk about Sejuani and how she is a skirmisher too when you have the double melee as we have for Goucher. But it's still a Xin Zhao. Xin Zhao is something that loves to be able to disrupt dive into the backline and make it a lot easier for Nocturne. Make it a lot easier for Silas to be able to do their jobs so much more efficiently, because who do you focus on now? Nocturne, Xin Zhao, or Silas?
And that's where we have to pay attention to the single targets of the 3 top laners from Goucher. We have to focus on who's hitting what. What passive is Sejuani going to be throwing that E off of to stun that person diving in? That's one thing that we have to watch out for. But Alex, it's all going to be in who pulls that first trigger, man. Who gets that best look to start off those fights? Because if you can make an argument that if Goucher lands a good ultimate from either the Rumble, the Irelia, from basically anyone, that's an easily trigger for the start of the fight. But then on the opposite side, you could say the exact same thing. Xin Zhao can find a solid flank. Silas can take one of those ultimates and use it against them. And then we look at Nocturne. Nocturne can just start off a fight no matter what, as long as he's just around the board. So
well, and we didn't even talk about bot lane either. Varus and Thresh too. Good corrupting chains can connect to be able to stop any engage coming in from Goucher to be that much more difficult. Plus Death Sentence with the Lantern to be able to drag people in. There are so many tools that Harrisburg have that they can utilize. Well, Goucher are really going to be reliant on how they can disengage or engage from a good range and a safe distance, because if Sivir or Sona, with the low range that they have, get caught out, they're going to get blown up. Doesn't matter if you have a spell shield to be able to get that. You need to be able to utilize that crescendo, utilize on the hunt to be able to get your carries into that backline and actually be able to do their job.
Yeah, that's the one thing that we always have to wonder. Man, that Varus is such a solid disengage tool with that Chain of Corruption. It's so good to answer all those dives. But yo, if that Rumble ultimate cuts him off, I don't know if that Chain of Corruption is going to be doing any kind of work. But regardless, we look at Harrisburg. They are a team that are just better all across the board when it just comes to performance. For Goucher, there we got to go back to that first point that what TJ brought in. Are y'all going to be throwing some cheese, or are y'all going to try and play standard? Are y'all going to be looking to just invade, or y'all just looking to fight all day, every day? I'm down to see that, man. That's one thing that I gotta wonder is Goucher going to be throwing some of that Gouda on the plate?
I think you have to with this composition they've drafted for themselves. You have great wave clear bot lane with Sivir, just innately how she's able to push out, and you also have a Sejuani with double melee. You need to look for these early skirmishes. You need to make sure you are the ones getting lane priority to be able to back up Fallen Moons. You can't have what happened last time, where Fallen Moons got invaded late, lost a lot of the priority, but then you have top and mid that have no priority themselves. Malphite and Gwen can't really push back against a Renekton and a Viego, and that gives free reign of the map over to Harrisburg, where you saw that poor Fallen Moons, who I think had really good game sense in trying to be able to get back in, but unfortunately without that priority was an easy target to be exploited.
And that's where I'm just kind of wondering what's going to happen when Goucher gets on the field. What kind of cheese they're going to be going for, Alex, right? And also, along with Harrisburg, what they want to do. One thing that TJ brought up is that, are they going to get mad complacent? That's something that Goucher can look to punish, right? You know, if they're feeling themselves, if they're going for some cheeky invades, if Zala's going for single invades, and he's going to get punished for it, that's just free gold right there. That's free EXP, and you also save your camps. So, if I'm Goucher, and especially in that level 1, if you're adapting correctly, can you look to punish those things? And can you adapt? Can you learn? You know, those are good things that you want to take away from, especially when you're playing against a team of this high caliber, because you don't get a chance to play against these kind of teams a lot. So, playing against these guys, can you adapt? Can you actually throw them for a loop? Those are things you want to look for, especially when you're dealing against an opponent that's that much higher than you are.
Especially when you have a team composition that Harrisburg have drafted where it is, again, kind of that snowball composition where they do need to try to see if they can get these early leads for themselves, especially with the low range they have and what we expect to be the typical builds coming in. You know, Lethality Varus has been the only real Varus build that we've been seeing. It's not the on-hit Varus that we had seen in a while back. And
I've seen on-hit Varus.
Yeah, I haven't really seen it as much.
Shiro played it in Proving Grounds with AP with Gnasher's Tooth and everything.
I don't remember that. I'm trying to remember because I've only been seeing Lethality, but you know what? We'll have to see what they're going to draft here in game 2 for the side of Harrisburg. Oh, we do need to flip those graphics to make sure that we are indicating the proper teams on which side, because right now we have Goucher on the blue, Harrisburg on the red, but nothing too fanciful is going on just yet. Pretty much the standard. Oh, but here we go.
Okay.
A little bit of cheese. It will be spotted out, though.
Yeah. Harrisburg already ready. So they're going to spot everything. The question is, are they going to set themselves up for a counter attack? I like this little defensive ward that Goucher has placed for themselves, too, because they are going to spot out Clyde and Hopeful. So already solid defensive awareness from these level 1s. Again, Goucher, they do a lot of smart things, and I really like it.
I do like it.
Yeah.
I like it. It shows that they have this proper game sense, and with a little bit more coaching, a little bit more practice on a lot of these champions, maybe even just continuing to grind out in solo queue, we can expect to see these players once more try to see if they can make more of a name for themselves, because they definitely have some really good game sense.
Yeah, but with this ward being placed from Goucher on the top side, it means that both these junglers are going to be aware of where they're going to be starting. Sandflame, of course, is going to be starting off the sweeper, so he actually gets rid of it. And now this is where, if I'm Fallen Moons, you know, where am I going to be going for? Am I going to be full clearing, or am I actually going to be going down full onto the bottom side? This is where it's actually real interesting, though, Alex. Hopeful and Clyde actually came out from the bottom to try and act like they started on. To try and act like they actually did something on the bottom side, but even then, they already did spot Zal start the red buff, so maybe just faking on seeing where they place those wards. So we'll have to see what Fallen Moons wants to do now, because he has to kind of guess where those wards are placed and where if he can actually hide his gank on the bottom lane. These are the mind games that happens in the jungle.
But unfortunately for Potato and Queen VO, they have lost that priority by trying to go for that bait. And now that Fallen Moons has been spotted out by that ward, all of that mind game that they had played before has been lost. You can see that the push is coming in from Hopeful, from Clyde, making sure the kids, they know that they can easily crash that minion wave in without having to worry about Fallen Moon showing up too soon.
Yeah, but with Harrisburg knowing that Fallen Moons is already at the red buff, it should be okay to actually answer this 3-on-3 in the bottom lane, which is surprising. Usually we see Sejuani play for the solo lanes, but in this case they're playing for the bottom side, which I think is actually a little bit of a mistake, because you don't got melees to actually help you out.
No.
And that's where Fallen Moon shows up, and then it's like, all right, we're going to go back in, but now you're going to meet Xyle in the river. You don't win this one-on-one, brother.
No, you don't. That was a lot of damage early on. Fallen Moon trying to get towards the wall, was able to get the stun with the permafrost, but actually had a lot of damage. Nice body block, the flash over the wall, but the flash coming in from Hopeful. First blood easily taken over for Hopeful.
Yeah, can't be doing those kind of things, especially when Potato and Queen VO do not have that priority on the bottom side. You know, and this is where you got to think about that. Maz, he get a solo kill on the turret too, man. Ooh, that's going to be real good.
Not looking good right now for Goucher. 2 early kills, and with a huge CS lead in mid lane and bot lane already occurring for the side of Harrisburg. I feel like we're getting a little bit of a reminiscent game style to game 1.
Yeah. I would say, though, Harrisburg isn't really playing, you know, mad disrespectful. They're actually just going for smart punishes. Yeah. This is something that I'm happy to see from the Harrisburg team. Usually teams start getting, you know, they start getting ego, they start, you know, playing some champions that are just like, you know what, we're too good, we're going to show some disrespect. But this game, again, they drafted things that are things that we would regularly see in a composition. Potato, though, I don't know if you want to take this trade, man.
Flashed away. The Ignite was on top. Has heal still available.
Okay.
But that piercing arrow. Oof. The heal was enough to keep Potato alive, but that's a pretty low cooldown. If he's able to find the snipe, he didn't charge it long enough. You needed a little bit longer if you wanted to be able to get the full range.
Yeah. Still a good thing, though. Harris, we look at Zao. He's already, with that kill in the jungle, he's now looking for those invades. And again, Harrisburg playing pretty dang smart. Smart punishes overall, tracking Fallen Moons, and going for it. Mid lane,
sad.
This is an unwinnable matchup.
It's looking pretty sad. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Even though Rumble can actually trade into Silas and Flamesphere, that's usually how he wins most of the mid lane matches. The thing is that Silas has a W, and that W, if he's at low HP, gets it all back and then some when he wants to continue that trade. Well, Garlic actually gonna DC, but I'm pretty sure we went through the pause.
Okay.
So So we're gonna be A-okay. But Sad is not gonna have a fun time in this mid lane matchup.
Sad. No, you just need it back. You literally need to get a cheater recall here. Don't even bother staying around, even if you have no gold, because that's going to happen. Then you don't have flash and you die.
Alex, you can't get a cheater recall when you don't push the wave all the way in, man. You just have to take a recall. I want to clarify that, man.
It's a cheater recall because it's cheating that you're recalling at all, because you shouldn't be allowed to, and that's it just ain't good.
I guess so, but now we look at the top side too. Same thing, Garlic Bread getting pressured because whenever Garlic Bread wants to trade into Sand Flame and this Nocturne, Fear comes out and that Q comes out.
He's level 6. He's level 6. There's Paranoia, and he's going for the full-on dive. He's going to be able to get it flashed away to survive.
Yeah, just barely, that potion helping him out for Sand Flame. Bottom side, Fallen Moon's going to find action on the Clyde, but it's no backup right now.
Look at Moss. Moss is nearby with the Lantern, going to be able to get right back on top of Fallen Moons. He's going to fall, and it's going to be a killing spree. This is reminiscent of last game. It's already a level 6. Nice body block with the arrow, the flash coming in. The play on a Potato. Potato cannot get away. Double kill for Moss. Queen VO gonna be able to hug that turret and stay alive underneath, but I feel like Moss wants to be able to get a third kill in this bot lane.
Oh yeah. If you don't get the third kill, you're gonna get these plates Queen for VO. The rest of the team, but instead they're going in.
Nice sidestep.
That's why that's why we like Seraphine a little bit more. Seraphine has better base stats. Sona base stats are
I don't care your base stats. The damage from Moss. Jesus Christ.
Queen VO got blown up. My God.
She did not have a good time in that bot lane.
She did not have a fun time.
Well, now you got 10 stack Dark Seal on Tomas. I feel like, come on, upgrade that into the Magi's at least. But we got a replay coming in because we got to just look at these are great plays from Harrisburg. Harrisburg have been playing this so well, and like you said, it's not disrespectful. They're just finding proper plays. Yeah,
these are just solid punishes from what Goucher is just not used to. Usually you have to communicate if I'm going into the bottom side river. I want to communicate what my bot wave status is going to be. Goucher unfortunately is not communicating the current status of their wave state, and because of that, they get punished. And because of Moz, he's able to just kind of get some more kills. And take a look at this, man. I want to see the slowdown.
Nearly full health. Dodged a lot.
He just W'd.
That was just a W.
It looked like it was just a W.
I think it was a W and an auto attack from Hopeful all at the same time.
But still, that's just a W.
Man.
I had to watch it on the mainstream again just to see how much damage that actually did. My God.
Yeah. It was brutal. It was definitely brutal. And now with 5 kills on Moss, the Silas is in full control of the game. You have a 4,500 gold lead for Harrisburg 8 minutes in. They've got themselves dragon control, and again, they're not playing disrespectfully. They're playing this one wisely. You don't see them just try to throw their bodies out and try to see if they can kill the side of Goucher. Instead, they make sure they get the objective. They're even getting themselves an Ocean Dragon while it's a Cloud Dragon up next. This is all looking so great for them.
Yeah. Super solid game plan from Harrisburg University, and this is where they're playing clean. This is where, if I'm Harrisburg University, I just want to play clean. I don't want to show all my cards, Yeah. We don't need to pull off all our tricks. Chain of Corruption lands.
That was max range.
It was max range, but nothing's going to come out of it. But still, Sad, not having a fun time,
Stolen away, Equalizer, Sad. It's going to be another solo kill for Moss, his third one of the game.
Yeah, this matchup legit so unplayable, and Moz getting one of the best counter picks into it, and 2, just showing up how this match is supposed to be played. And we take a look at the top side. Sandflame, hasn't really abused Garlic Bread. Credits to Garlic Bread. He's actually staying okay, only 20 CS down in a losing matchup. But later on, Garlic will start losing this unless he gets some help here. As we take a look at another replay that happens, this is that 1-on-1 I was talking about. He has a lot of items, of course, but like he's just able to do this. And if Sad wanted to trade in, he just heals all that back up.
It's ridiculously difficult, and this is honestly why I am glad to see Silas being picked more often. I was wondering when more teams, more players would realize how powerful this champion can be, and you can see players like Moss that are just piloting him so well and so efficiently. He's got the 10 stacks on that Dark Seal. Once he backs, please upgrade it into the Magi's. Don't go for the Mythic. Just do me this. Do me the solid, please.
Start reading Lord of the Rings, man. Start getting that trilogy up already. Maybe have some of the Hobbit in too.
He went Everfrost.
All right.
Okay, he's playing it respectfully. He's playing it respectfully, but still, you know.
One thing I do gotta ask though for Goucher is this level 1 of Fallen Moons and his early pathing, because remember he did path from blue buff to the bottom side instead of pathing towards the solo lanes, and I gotta wonder if Goucher actually if Fallen Moons played for his solo lanes, which is what we expected Sejuani to do, maybe this game could have been different. Maybe Godbright could have gotten a kill under his belt, or if not that blow flash from Sandflame, and then look to punish it later on. But because we're not seeing that, it's just very tough. My God, Moz, I did not know those chains would do that much. Holy cow.
Chain Slash can do a lot, and now he might be able to get the dive. Sad had to cancel his back because he knew that it could have been too risky. He could have easily been dove, and now with the stolen Glacial Prison, I wonder what they're going to look for next.
Yeah. I mean, right now we already see all of them moving towards the bottom side, looking for a potential 4-man. Instead,
well, that's what he's going to look for. Got the Lantern, has the damage, Everfrost too, and he is godlike.
Yep, can't be checking that. Another 2-on-2 on the bottom side. Oh my God, all right, Hope.
They annihilated Queen Vio with Potato running towards the turret, understanding it is dead meat there. Garlic ready to TP. It is a 5v1. This ain't looking so good bot lane. Even with the stun coming in from Garlic Bread. Nice play with even the Vanguard's Edge doing nothing to dissuade them from continuing this fight. Garlic Bread, you don't have the fancy feet to be able to survive long enough. They get a kill, they get a turret. Get a little bit, but really, you gotta really be able to put on a performance to survive that.
It was looking okay. If it was a 1 versus 1, it would have been good. Now we see Goucher making a play.
Trying with the equalizer, getting a little bit of damage, but it's only going to split them apart. Paranoia into the backline. Hopeful still alive. Finally dies. The Fallen Moon shut down.
Gets one.
They want to be able to chase down in this backline to be able to take out Fallen Moons. Glides nearby. While all the while, Moss was able to keep at least Potato pinned underneath the turret. The flash coming in to make sure to get away from Fallen Moons. No connecting onto that chains this time around, but Moss taking a lot of damage from Potato. Stole away the ult. Has on the hunt. Might look for the chase down underneath the turret while Fallen Moon still looking to escape. Zyles found him out, though. They're going to be able to get this kill. Even with legendary Moz underneath the turret, they've gotten more 16 kills here at 12 minutes.
Moz is 10-0-0. He is. 10 out of the 16 kills.
He'd have a fully stacked Magi's if he bought it, too.
Yeah. If he did buy the book, if he did want to write a trilogy, he definitely would have gotten it at this point. But regardless, Goucher is starting off a fight. Even though I appreciate the aggression, the issue is that you guys are at a numbers disadvantage.
Yeah.
You know, and we look at this. This is where everything actually all started on the bottom side on this 2-on-2. You know, Chain of Corruption lands, and then with that new change on the Zinzao, you just got to land that W, and then you get that charge coming on in. Snipe lands, and Minion's going to be finishing him even through that heal, but everything at this point just becomes a downward trend for the Goucher squad. Again, this is very expected, but I like this little thing from Garlic Bread, though. You see him actually going in and out and actually dodging a lot of things. The only thing is that he's in a 1 versus 3 situation, and Moz is really strong, so he's unable to actually get a trade. If it was an even game, maybe he could have gone that and actually could have styled on him, but this is where we see the re-engage, and I question Goucher. This is a 3 versus 4. Not the best move.
I mean, they're trying anything at this point. They're not necessarily giving up, but what I still go back to like Garlic Bread's playing that bot lane. I feel like had they been able to play around with that top side a bit more, that play actually could have worked out. Now you see bot lane where Potato can't even farm up anymore, can't even push out because it's too easy for Sandflame to be able to execute them. Fallen Moons is trying to sneak away this dragon, but really it's a consolation prize at this rate.
I don't know if he can because backup's around the corner.
Yeah, Sandflame's going to be able to spot him out. They got the kill over onto Sad with the Lantern back in. They've spotted out that Fallen Moons is on at the Dragon. They got the Fear. They got the Chain Slash. They have a 12th kill for freaking Moss at this point. Jesus.
He also didn't. He still hasn't bought measures. He actually went for double needlessly large rod for himself to actually get him a lot of ability power.
He's just doing it to spite us at this rate.
Yeah. Well, he's still now he's going to be getting the Wizard's hat in this game, which will be helping him out a lot too. And maybe he'll start getting the Harry Potter series being built in. I want to see how Garlic Bread actually goes down here. I think he's just caught in a 1 versus 2. Oh, he misses the flawless duet, which actually costs a lot. So that's a little bit unfortunate. Backup is around the corner, but numbers advantage is just the name of the game right now when it comes to some of these fights. Harrisburg, they just have more numbers, and even if you're fighting an even game, it's way too tough to actually go through.
And they're also constantly being able to out-rotate Goucher, aren't they? Harrisburg are showing us why we have touted them as being this top collegiate team, why so many teams have even said that this is a team that they respect. Even if, you know, there's been a lot of change-ups with the roster, you can see what the history teacher, what X Special have been able to do constantly with this organization, constantly being able to build up this school as a top collegiate team. Now, bot lane, Sandflame gets yet another solo kill on a Potato. Potato, you got to learn your lesson.
Just that inexperience coming through, but I love that you credit Harrisburg and the infrastructure they have, because this is their 3rd year as a program coming in. And so they're definitely looking pretty good, especially in the Eastern Conference for themselves, but just to make sure they can actually get to the Nationals, because usually we look at Hufus, we look at the times that they've taken a loss. It's always been to that #1 seed in the Northern Conference. It's always been Maryville. And as long as they keep up this kind of performance, they keep up this game plan, that's something good that we're going to see. And as long as they keep on doing these kind of drafts where they have a solid identity, it could definitely work out. The question is going to be that execution when you start facing against these upper teams when you get to that point. Oh, that's
right now, 1v2. Going to be able to get the kill on the Garlic Bread this time around. No fancy feet for that Aurelia. And with 22 kills here at 16 minutes, they have more kills, I believe, at this point than they did last time around.
Yep.
It is a near 15,000 gold lead that they have.
Okay.
With an engage onto Hopeful. They're trying to see if they can at least get Clyde. They've got a lot of damage on
Moz on the back line.
Look at Moz on the other side, looking for the flank. Clyde might die, but with the equalizer pit, taking down 3 members almost immediately, and they've got the flank, they've got the kills. Only Garlic Bread, who just spawned back up, is alive. Harrisburg can march down mid lane again, shy of that 20-minute mark, looking for a victory.
Yeah. Man, they tried, man. They found a good look, but Clyde went golden, and he kind of stopped everything. Allowed all the backup to come through, and then that means that Harrisburg are going to be looking to open up the inhibitor 16 minutes in. Usually we don't see this occur because taking an inhibitor this early, Alex,
might just be looking for a victory. I don't think
that's what I'm saying.
I don't think it's about like letting the minions pour in, giving them extra gold. It's just that they understand that this game isn't going to last much longer.
Yeah, I mean 18K ahead. At this point, 17 minutes in, getting that inhibitor is not really going to change a lot. We just don't really see it go on. This is where they actually get a solid look and actually get the stun here. But Clyde going golden with the stopwatch that he has in his inventory stops a lot. And it buys so much time here. Even though he goes down and Goucher gets a second kill for themselves, which is a good thing, it just delays everything way too much. And they burn too many resources just to take one person out from the Harrisburg squad, and they get punished for it.
Well, it's like they were trying to get Hopeful. Hopeful was able to flash heal and kind of use Clyde as a meat shield, be like, all right, you absorb everything for me.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, the whole idea there is that, Clyde was more than happy to take all that damage. 2v4, they were able to delay for so long until Moz, until Sandflame were able to show up to be able to help out that fight.
Yeah. It's just crazy that Moz has 14 kills and the rest of his team as like not even a part of it. A lot of these just solo kills by himself. It's kind of crazy, man. Moz definitely showing up right now in this game too, and definitely punishing his opponents really, really well. Whereas the rest of them, they're just doing their job. They're doing a good thing, and they're just keeping people away. I like this little zone that Sandflame has gotten away from Fallen Moons to actually contest this. Now we might actually see the dancing Rift Herald, though.
Let's see.
This is where I'm wondering if we're going to be seeing it.
There's going to be a last fight attempted here. You can see Garlic was into the back line, but immediately blown up. And now with the paranoia on the Potato, he's going to be able to use the heal to be able to get away, but then they turn their attention on a Fallen Moons. Fallen Moons gets away, but finally dies to the piercing arrow. Everyone's dead on Goucher. It's a triple kill for Moss to end the game. No dancing Rift Herald today, but a 2-0 clean victory here. Both games under the 20-minute mark coming in from Harrisburg.
I wanted to see the dancing Rift Herald, Alex.
I know you did.
Darn it!
I know you did.
All right, but regardless, Harrisburg University showing up really well in this game, especially Moss 17-0-1 at the end of the scoreline. Didn't actually build the Harry Potter trilogy with his wizarding hat,
Oh.
unfortunately, but he does have one of the Horcruxes as a ring in his hand, so maybe that's going to be a good thing for himself. But
Well, he
for
didn't
Goucher,
die, that's for sure.
he definitely didn't go down. But for Goucher, definitely saw some good things for sure. Draft really good, some decision making pretty solid. But there's also a lot of mistakes that has been present. Harrisburg though, they didn't show a lot of their cards, Alex. They didn't really show like some things that they are testing out, some things they haven't done. Because in game 1, Short is just kind of running rampant, tackling down Fallen Moons. And then game 2, everything was just kind of like, all right, we know what they're going to be doing here. We know what we're going to be doing here. And then Moz just winning that one-on-one straight up.
Yeah, Moss was just absolutely a terror. Even in game 1 on that Viego, he looked amazing on that one. This time, Silas, a bit of a different style, but he was just all over the map. It was hard to stop him.
Yeah, it's so tough. And that's where Goucher, I think, if they actually change up the game plan level 1, where if you actually have such a path towards those melee solo lanes, then maybe you could have gotten a little bit of an earlier lead and a little bit of an earlier cushion to actually deal with some of these stronger solo lanes that they got countered against. So that's something that Goucher, I think, can just look forward to when they're looking to just mold themselves, just fix on some of these mistakes that they're doing, and of course build on this experience. Because remember, this is their first time here in the national scene, and I'm down to have these guys in the national scene, and for them to make it this far is a good thing. Just want to see them make sure that they work on themselves, make sure they build up that program from where they're at, and then see if they can just continue on to this next year.
I would love that as well coming in from them. But Harrisburg get the 2-0 victory and prove to us why they are one of the top collegiate teams. We're going to give it back over to the analyst and let Cubby and Co. be able to break down that series a bit further. So Cubby, take it away.
Thanks so much, man. Magical. Excited to be joined. Cubby and Co, I guess, is what the desk's going to be called for the weekend. I don't know. We might have to work out that. Yeah, we'll see. I like it. It's a good start. Speaking of good starts as well, Harrisburg, I think that starting off your top 32 collegiate run with 2 pre-20-minute victories doesn't really get much better than that. And we're going to talk about Harrisburg quite a bit, but we'd actually like to start talking about Goucher. Obviously, the second team in the Landmark Conference, they fall short against Harrisburg. And just kind of like paying our respects to them as they exit the tournament early. But Dylan, TJ, I'm going to start with Dylan. What did you see out of this team? What were some bright spots? What were some things that they can kind of ride home happy about as they do take an early exit here in the top 32 at Collegiate?
Yeah, as Chillingwalk pointed out, they did have some creative drafts, right? I think they had the right idea of don't come into these games with, standard drafts from old patches that were played during CLOL. You need to kind of adapt and, mold your comps and your picks to the current meta, and that is like these AP junglers and, these new soul laners like Gwen and Viego, and I think they did a pretty decent job of adapting. Unfortunately, there was just a bit of an individual skill disparity that made these games pretty hard for them to win. Mm-hmm. I think that their decision making was actually pretty decent. You'd expect, Harrisburg to just be like running over them decision making wise, but in the early stages of the game, it was mostly mechanical things that were kind of making Goucher fall behind. So, I'm pretty impressed in that regard.
And we saw some of those opportunities, like when Garlic Bread had a top fight where he almost won, he almost predicted in a really like that kind of stuff. Where if the players played a little bit better, maybe they had some more opportunities to win. But like you said, Harrisburg just had the leg up on the mechanical ability.
Yeah, unfortunately, Garlic Bread going to come out of the oven a little bit too fresh, not thoroughly cooked. As that game, both games ended up running a little bit early, and Goucher, the club making it in the top 32. What a story for them to be able to participate in this tournament. But now I want to turn the focus on to the winning team. Now we've gotten that out of the way, as Harrisburg with Zyle this time around, man, a different jungler, but the same look from them. Another dominant victory. I know that we got a couple replays lined up where they just pretty much ran the entire map. And as we get the first one queued on up, Dylan, I want to throw straight to you. What were some of the highlights that you saw out of one of the biggest programs we have in the nation making their first appearance here in the Collegiate Championship?
Yeah, so I think actually something you highlighted is pretty interesting. The fact that they're able to flex between Zyle and Shorter Race, that is one of their chosen subs for this tournament. I think that actually has pretty big implications as they go into top 16, top 8, potentially even further than that. Because Shorter Race is very much a carry-oriented jungler. He's going to pick champions like Nidalee, like Talia, like these new AP junglers. Lee Sin is a pocket pick he has. And he's going to try and carry the game. He's going to 1v9. but sometimes all you need is a stable jungler. And Zyle's the kind of guy that's going to lock you in, Jarvan, he's going to lock in Zac, he's going to lock in these more like supportive junglers. And I think that offers a pretty unique contrast to Shorter Ace's style, and depending on the way that Harrisburg wants to play out their matchups, it could be very interesting.
You were mentioning Shorter Ace on the carry champions. My favorite Shorter Ace is the Shorter Ace Sejuani.
Oh, God.
His Garner, his Sejuani, they go hard. So I'm looking forward to seeing some of those, because those flash pulls, like, what can I say?
Yeah, and
so much
hey,
skill.
I mean, also shout out to Harrisburg, right, for utilizing that sub, as you mentioned, a bit of a solo queue skill disparity as well. I know that from having a sub on the roster that I coached all year at Miami University, Ohio, and TJ, I'm sure you feel the same way. Whenever you get a chance to let them, get some game time, some stage time, they work just as hard as the main roster, and great to see Zyle participate. A player very talented in his own right, coming from Supernova Dark Matter in the Scouting Ground circuit as well. So good to see him make a nice appearance, and Harrisburg continue their dominance. And we do have another replay of Harrisburg wiping the bot side of the map once again. This seemed to be a common trend for them in these two games. And TJ, I know that we talked about, the dominance kind of breaking down these two quick wins out of Harrisburg, but what was maybe something that you saw that was really positive out of the team in this game as well?
Well, I think that every team is going to have some positives. So I kind of appreciated the audacity to bring out a Sona, right? Because it's saying like, oh, hey, maybe I can play well on this character. In terms of Harrisburg, I think that they were able to show a really good level of coordination. So like, as you're seeing here, a 5-man dive. Goucher may not have experienced that all year. And so these types of things, we really bring together all the members of the team into a cohesive play. That's kind of a really, really, really positive thing to do.
Yeah, and one thing to kind of, add on to that point is when you're a team like Harrisburg, you have all the time in the world to set up scrims against high-level teams and to kind of run these strategies, to have theoretical meetings. And all of that is pretty much, varsity programs that are supported via scholarships. These players can focus a lot more on their individual, capacity as a player. They can focus more on the theoretical side of the game. And that's not to say that they don't deserve it, because they put in insane amount of work. But on the side of Goucher, when you're a student-ran club, who knows how many times you actually get to scrim during a week, because usually the focus is more on the school side of things. And just the fact that they were able to show up here and like put on a show for us, Goucher, it's really exciting. And this program should be proud of everything that they accomplished, because even though their showing, wasn't perfect in this round of 32, I don't think they or, many were expecting them to come out with a victory. And just the fact that they made it here alone is just enough.
It's also important to remember that the clubs like Goucher turn into programs.
Exactly.
Right? Like those types of schools where they have support, where maybe they have some success, maybe they can build something bigger around it.
Yep.
So even though this might be the end of Goucher today, maybe we'll see more of them or schools like them in the future, where they turn into the next Harrisburg.
Yeah, we'd love to see those clubs evolving into more school-supported programs, or varsity programs, as we like to call them. And there are some great clubs as well that we're going to see throughout the tournament as well. I think the most notable, University of Western Ontario, they've made it to the last two finals, have produced some great individual players that have gone on to see some academy time and been very successful in proving grounds as well, notably Gorka and Winston. I believe Winston might be competing under their banner as well for this tournament too. So definitely, it's good to see the clubs put their best foot forward. And although Goucher took an early exit, props to them for making top 32 and trying their best here on the stage. But unfortunately, Harrisburg is getting the best of them. I want to also transition, as this was the first data point that we've gotten for this tournament and this new patch. What were some of the things that you guys saw in these games that you think might be trends that we're going to see throughout the rest of the tournament? Dylan, I'm going to start with you. I know that Rumble's been a big pick in the meta. You were teasing in the jungle beforehand. We saw him mid now. What's that pick like? And what are some of the other picks like that we're going to see throughout this tournament that we might have seen from either of the teams today?
Yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting. As TJ pointed out, I think in our pre-show segment, the power of a lot of the new meta champions comes in the fact that they're flex picks, right? You're going to lock in something like Rumble, and you don't know whether that's going top, mid, or jungle. You lock in something like Morgana, and that could go, jungle, mid, or support. The same applies with Diana. You could go jungle or mid. All of these champions, Viego is another example. Gwen can play in both solo lanes. I've even seen a little bit of Gwen jungle. All of these champions just make for such a dynamic meta where, having the ability to counterpick, having the ability to like redraft properly and come up with strategies is going to be so interesting to watch as this tournament unfolds, because one of the unique things about having a closed tournament like this is a meta of itself kind of develops over the rounds. In the round of 16 meta, we're going to see teams react to what they saw in the round of 32, change up their bans and picks based off that, and it's going to further evolve as we get into the round of 8, round of 4, and then all the way into the finals. So it's going to be absolutely fascinating to watch that develop.
And that's where you start to see some homework done. So like when a team prepares for what an enemy team's going to pick, you can get some really interesting compositions. So let's say Nocturne, like a champion played in this game who can play in multiple roles. Maybe you realize that Nocturne mid we played, which then you can start to open up like what top laners pair well with a Malphite or with a Nocturne. So for example, like is it Malphite top lane where they just can't avoid the ult? Yep. What junglers pair well with a Nocturne where it's like, okay, can you have Rumble jungle Nocturne ult? And it's like, you have no idea where that equalizer is going to come down and just like eviscerate the team. So figuring out where teams are going to do their homework, come up with creative strategies, that's where I'm excited to see in the next round.
Yeah, I love the fact you're bringing that up. It feels like kind of the meta has kind of shifted more towards a lot of 15-minute fighters, right? When you hit that 1.5 item power spike, when you start utilizing those ultimates like the Equalizer, like the Paranoia, to turn off the lights and light your entire team. Make some nice kebabs on some barbecue on the Summoner's Rift, as we always like to see from the Rumble combos coming out. But guys, any other thoughts before we start to wrap up this series, bringing it back now to Harrisburg versus Goucher? TJ, any last words that you have for Harrisburg as we're going to see them advance into the top 16?
I would say congratulations, obviously, as a varsity program again, having all the
Good
support that they have. Good start.
Yeah.
I hope that they continue the momentum forward, really do their homework for the next rounds, especially as we start getting into 8, 4, etc. And then seeing where they can end up, because that's where the true test will come in for some of the teams that are a bit better equipped.
Yeah, no, that's good to hear, and that is going to be it for us for this match. Ladies and gentlemen, the stream for us will continue. We have Winthrop versus Marist at 5 p.m. Eastern, so don't go anywhere for that. But in the meantime, in the stead, we do have a lot of time to fill before we get those two teams on the Rifts. We're actually going to be tuning into the B stream that we have going on with all the other collegiate action. And don't let it fool you, just because it's the B stream doesn't mean that the game isn't a banger, because it's a team that Dylan and I are very much familiar with coming out of Miami, Ohio. It's going to be George Mason University versus the winner of our conference, Northeastern University, in the middle of Game 2. We're also going to have filler content going until 5 p.m. Eastern, where we can get back on the team or onto the Rift live with those teams. But until then, let's see exactly how that Game 2 is going and send it over to our friends over at the Upsurge B stream.
For a moment, Jinx girl